This is the Clark Connection Podcast, your weekly dose of inspiration and power. We'll dive deep into the stories and strategies that ignite personal growth and entrepreneurial fire. Join us as we empower you to take control, level up your leadership, and build the life you deserve. Get ready to rise, to thrive, and to finally become the leader of your own destiny. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Clark Connection Podcast. So great to be with you here. I'm your host, Aaron Clark, aka The Coach. And today, we've got a powerful conversation lined up with Chris Appleton. We're diving into what he calls the heart-centered hustle, a leadership approach rooted in love, care, and influence that creates ripple effects far beyond the workspace. Chris shares why vulnerability isn't a weakness, but a strength, how leaders can rebuild trust after mistakes, and the role personal growth plays in shaping the way that we lead. But before we go on to that, I want to take a moment to thank our amazing sponsors who make this podcast possible. And today's episode is brought to you by our premier sponsor, Vicki with Hubbard Flooring Studio. That leadership that always starts with a strong foundation, and so does your home or office. Vicki and her team don't just cover floors, they help you step into excellence one plank, tile, or carpet at a time. And now, Hubbard Flooring Studio also offers Hunter Douglas blinds, giving you the ability to set the tone, control the light, and create the perfect environment to lead from. Visit them at their physical location on Boylan Avenue in Baton Rouge, or give them a call, 225-924-1582, or browse their work at hubbardflooringstudio.com. Hubbard Flooring Studio, where strong foundations and bright visions begin. Thanks to Wayne with 7K Metals for all your silver and gold needs. Just like strong leadership, building wealth takes strategy and vision, and Wayne helps you to craft a foundation that shines. Shout out to Bobby with the Comfy Quest LLC. She helps you realign, recharge, and create the mental and physical space to lead your life with balance and clarity. I appreciate to Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services, making your business run smarter, smoother, and more efficiently, giving you the freedom to focus on what matters the most. Big thanks to Joseph with Landscape King, transforming yards into beautiful, inspiring spaces that set the stage for creativity, growth, and leadership in every season. And a special thank you to Chris and Jess with C&J Embroidery, bringing your brand to life with custom designs that leave a lasting impression wherever you lead. And guys, your support truly lays the foundation for leadership conversations like this one. And if you're listening today and thinking about ways to grow your business while supporting leadership, I'd love to be able to connect with you and partner with you. And we're currently looking for more new sponsors to join the show. So if you want your brand highlighted right here on the Clark Connection Podcast, reach out and let's talk about how we can make that happen. And of course, if you haven't already done so, I'd love to connect with you. You can find me on my website, coachaclark.com, or you can shoot me an email, aaron@coachaclark.com. You can also follow along on social media to stay up to date with new episodes and leadership resources. If you have questions or just want to connect, click that link below in the show notes, fill out a quick form. I'd love to hear from you, and your questions could be answered on our next episode of Ask the Coach. And the man you've all been waiting to meet, Chris Appleton. He's the founder of Heart-Centered Hustle, a senior aerospace leader that he's been in leadership now for 20 years and he's got experience with Fortune 500 companies throughout that 20-year experience, and the author of Dope Leadership. So grab a pen, grab a pencil, something to write on. Let's get into my conversation with Chris. And Chris, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks, Aaron, man. It's such a pleasure to be on your show and have this time to chat with you today.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you definitely got on. I know we kind of have become friends through TikTok, sharing the same content and what have you. So I was definitely glad to be able to get you on such a short notice.
Yeah.
And kind of the first question I have for you, man, is that what is heart-centered hustle?
Man, I appreciate you asking that, Aaron. Like, heart-centered hustle is a leap of faith for me. I've been in, corporate America. I'm a senior leader in aerospace, and heart-centered hustle is about reaching the next generation of executive leaders, reaching the next generation of entrepreneurs, reaching the next generation of leaders who will lead these companies. And I feel like I've worked with a lot of leaders. I've worked with a lot of executives. And, some of the conversations that I'm having, I'm like, how did we not learn these core leadership principles a long time ago? Like, how are we just now talking about caring for the people you serve? Like, how are we just learning that? And so I thought, how can I have a platform to be able to, I need to get this message out early. I need to reach leaders before they ever get a title, before they even know that they are leaders. I need for them to know that you are a leader, that you can lead, and that you do not have to have a title to lead, that you can start leading right where you are. And so heart-centered hustle is really all about leadership and leading with heart. But more bigger than that, I'm going to say this, it's going to be bold and some people may not understand, but it's about loving the people that you lead, loving the people that you serve alongside, loving the people that you work with every single day. That's what heart-centered hustle is, loving the team that you lead.
Oh, no doubt, man. That it's hard to care and want people to succeed if you don't love them.
Yeah. I think that's the foundation. And the leader that comes to mind, he is a mentor, has been a mentor to me for close to over a decade. And he was the first leader, right, that I could tell. He may have not said like I love you, but he led it with such a deep care, such a deliberate level of care for all of his team that we would all run through walls for this leader. Like if he said, Chris, I need you to do this, he had put so much in my emotional bank account, so much in my development bank account that, I wanted to show up and I wanted to serve alongside him because he led with such care that there was this realistic balance of like care and also accountability. And oftentimes leaders get that mixed up. They want to focus on hammering down accountability, but you also have to care just as much. And when leaders have that even balance of, I'm going to hold you accountable, but I'm also going to care about you just as much. I'm going to care about the work, but I'm going to care about you as an individual. Those types of leaders leave a legacy that impacts the company long after they're gone.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And one I tell, especially like my two boys, and then a lot of people that I work with, that me holding you accountable is a form of love. And I think you have to do it with the right motive. It's got to be, if I'm going to hold Chris accountable, it's not because, hey, Chris, you're not getting this done, so you're making me look bad. It's going to be, Chris, we hold you to the standard. Our standard is here. come on, man, you got to hit that mark. And I'm not going to accept anything less than this, especially when I know you're better.
Yeah. So Aaron, I mean, so when you think about it, I mean, you said it perfectly. The leader sets the tone, right? And if you want excellence on your team, the leader has to show up and live that every single day. It's not just about demanding something of your team. That leader has to live that thing first. Like you got to show up and lay it all down to say, I'm not going to ask you for something that I'm not willing to give myself. And so as a leader, like we set the tone and our tone and how we show up every single day sets the tone for how our team shows up. And so yeah, we have to set the bar high, but as a leader, we have to make sure that everything that we are doing, every action, every conversation, every meeting, every, project that you're working on, I'm setting the bar high in everything that I do as a leader because I expect that of myself. Now, if I expect that of myself and it's my role to build other leaders, man, I expect that of my team as well.
Yeah.
This is how we're going to show up, right? This is
Right.
how we're going to do it. And so I think that's so true.
Mm-hmm. Not only do you set the tone, but also when you mess up, because unfortunately we're all going to mess up, then own up. So like one that I was working on with my guys is that, man, all of a sudden I noticed that we were coming a little lax with our time, like showing up. If we were supposed to be in at work at 8, like you'd see it like 8:02, 8:03, 8:05. And it was never more than about 8:07, which I tend to not like be like, okay, so you weren't here. That's a write up. But I know in one of our other meetings to end the day, I was like, guys, we got to be on time. We're starting to do all sorts of great things. We expect that the people we're working with to meet these standards. We got to do it. And wouldn't you know, today I got a little bit lax with my time. I've been reading The Traveler's Gift. If you hadn't read The Traveler's Gift by Andy Andrews, oh my goodness. But
that one down.
Oh man, I'm reading through it, and next thing you know, I was like, I know I'm supposed to be in that from, and I look, and I hadn't even started getting dressed at 7:30. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I run in, I roll in 9:05 or 8:05. We have our 8:15 meeting, and I was like, guys, I'm going to apologize to you right now. That I talked about this standard, and I didn't live up to the standard.
Love that.
It won't happen tomorrow.
Love that. Love that. I think, Aaron, so when you think about the impact to that behavior and that level of vulnerability, when as a leader, you could say, like, listen, guys, I know this is the standard that I set out. And I didn't live up to that standard, right? When you think about the trust that you can build in that moment, because it not only builds trust with your team, it allows your team to see that, man, like, nobody's perfect, and it's okay to say, hey, I missed the mark, but I'm going to show up. I'm going to keep on showing up, and I'm going to get better. And I make the commitment to you all. And then something really cool, Aaron, is like, man, accountability goes both ways. Like when you think about like leadership, I invite my team to hold me accountable because I realize that as a leader, man, I haven't reached the pinnacle. Like I'm nowhere near, and I will never be there. But I'm relying on my team to help me get better. And so if they see things in me, I invite them and I ask them, I create space in our meetings to say, what feedback do you have for me? Like if I'm missing the mark, let me know because I want to show up for you all. And so, man, it just that vulnerability just it breeds the trust, right, with your team.
And you can't get there without them anyway. So if you're wanting to hit that pinnacle, you can't get there. I mean, you could even take, oh wow, Neil Armstrong, whatever, he was on the moon or not, but he didn't get there by himself. But no one does anything great without other people.
Yeah. Your team needs to understand that this will be a critical and catastrophic failure without each and every one of your support and your contribution, right? Some leaders feel like, I want the win. I want the glory. And it's like, that's not why you sign up for leadership. It's so that you all reach the top together. And in the best case scenario, you are able to watch your team get to the top. And you might be the last one there, but that's okay, because to me, that's a win for me to see my people, the people that I serve alongside, get to where they need to go. It's a blessing.
Yeah. Pass the win, take the loss.
There you go. That's it.
Oh man. Yeah. I remember at a very young age, I was still in college. So I was like 20, 21. And I got to go meet with one of the senior athletic directors for LSU. And he was talking about all the stuff. And then he said, hey, they say when you make it to the top, hey, everybody looks at that triangle, right? And I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, that's where I want to be. He goes, no, you don't, because really what they do is you flip that thing up there, they put all the poop in there, and they don't even give you a bucket to catch it all, but you better not spill none of that. And I was like, ooh, yeah. I don't know that I want to do that.
Right. Yeah.
20 years later, here I am, but
yeah. I'm telling you, man, it's about creating the environment. Somebody asked me, like, Chris, like, what's your ultimate leadership philosophy? And it's about creating an environment for your people to win, creating an environment for the team that you serve alongside to win and be successful, to grow and develop, and I feel like that takes a amount of deliberate care for the people you serve.
It does. And so I want to go back. You'd talking about with Heart-Centered Hustle, that the focus is on the next generation of leaders. And why specifically the next generation of leaders?
I'm going to be honest with you, Aaron. When I think about leadership and I think about our world, there's few areas of our life that are not impacted by a leader or leadership decision, that impacts us. I mean, we think about, just the things that we do on the day to day, the companies we do business with, at some point in some level, a leader made a decision to say yes or no to be able to make something happen in your life, right? And so I honestly feel that leaders can change the world. Like, just by, some leader at some level making a yes or no decision, to them, it might be a split second decision, that they said yes to, but it has ripple effects in the lives of real people. Mm-hmm. And my thing is, if I can reach leaders at a young age to just say, listen, care for the people you serve, like, deeply care for the customers that are doing business with your company. And then just to have that second thought to think about, hey, there's real people, there's lives at stake with my yes or my no. And if we can get enough leaders to really focus on coming back to the basics of really caring for people, caring for your team, caring, for, your customers, caring for your family, I think we can create a better world, and so that's my life's mission, my life's purpose, is to talk to leaders and say, love the people you serve. Like, these people that work under you and these people that work alongside you are dealing with real life. They're coming to work with all types of baggage. And as a leader, like, you can either even, make that worse, or you can make it a lot better. Just by how you treat them. And so I really want leaders to see the impact that they have and the power that they have to be able to not just create a better environment with the team that they serve, but that better environment with the team that they impact could create, a greater impact in the homes of the people that work for them. And that greater environment in those homes could create better neighborhoods, better communities. And so when you start thinking about it like that, man, leaders have real power, and leaders set the tone. And so, when we think about legacy, I had a leader that told me, he said, Chris, when you have a difficult conversation with your team member, like for you after that, it might end, but they got to go home. And you think about the impact that they have in, with their families and things like that. So he said, handle those conversations, delicately, because those are real lives that are being impacted.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. And so it just reminded me of a story. Have you ever heard, I think Zig Ziglar tells it about who's kicking the cat?
Oh man.
Have
Yep.
you heard?
Yeah. Yep. Huge fan of Zig Ziglar.
Oh man, that's one of my, I'd forgotten about that when I actually started saying, I'm like, it just, like, wow, yeah, we influence more than just work. We're influencing what's going on at home. And for those of y'all listening, if you're not familiar with it, that Cliff Notes versions is the boss gets mad at the secretary, who gets mad at another assistant, who ends up getting mad at the child, and the child ends up kicking the cat when he at home. And so moral of his story was, wouldn't it have been better if the boss just went over to that lady's house and kicked the cat instead of getting everybody else mad?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. How true.
Yeah.
And we don't always think about, because I know that had me rolling and thinking too, that just, how a simple yes or no ultimately could affect the ripple effects that go on to more than just that decision right there.
Yeah. As a leader, your yes or your no is going to have ripple effects either way. And so it's really being aware and being present to understand those implications. And the companies that do it well, that have, I'll give you an example. American Airlines, their purpose is it's caring for people on life's journey. And so if there's a tough decision that needs to be made, it's how do we come back to that? Are we caring for people on life's journey? And and if not, like then let's pause on this for a little bit, right? And so as leaders, we need to have, like, what is our purpose? We need to come back to some type of true north to say, like am I really being authentic to my leadership purpose of deeply caring for the people that I serve with this decision, right? And so, yeah, you're right, man. Listen, it's going to have a ripple effect.
Yeah. And speaking of press and pause, guys, go ahead and take a second. If you've enjoyed what you've heard so far, make sure that you go like, subscribe, follow, that do all the things that this helps us at the Clark Connection Podcast to continue to bring on great guests, great leaders, like my friend Chris here. And so I'm going to unpause now. But that's so true, thinking back through how important it is. I think we sometimes get carried away with, I've got to act now. And that's in so many of our DNA, is that we go, that we don't always take that time to pause and be sensitive to the ones we're leading around us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. You said it perfectly. You could, phrase that. It's pause, as a leader, taking that time, because listen, the oftentimes, I work in corporate America. The business demands that you go. The business demands that, hey, or even, the customer is demanding more, faster, at a higher level. And it's counterintuitive to say pause, because everything is driving you to say go.
Oh, especially with, just think like the technology. It wasn't that long ago that this was the top of the line, the iPhone, and now it's like you can get this one on discount at your local cell phone store.
Yeah. But that stuff evolves so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, as a leader, like, how do I meet the demands of the business How do I meet the demands of the customer, but also go at a pace that serves my team? Because I guarantee a leader that goes, like, from a leadership perspective, you're going to miss something. Like, you're going to miss a critical moment, like within your team, miss a critical learning lesson. And so you do have to find that right cadence of the pace that you should go, with and how you serve the business, but also how you serve your team.
Yeah. Well, and it's important too inside the business to having that person that on your team that it's gonna be that one that comes up and says, "Hey, Aaron, you need to stop and think about it's it's uncomfortable because as the leader you're wanting to go, but they're right, My favorite athlete of all time is Michael Jordan. But the person he trusted the most on a team was Steve Kerr. It wasn't Scotty. It wasn't Dennis. It wasn't pick any of the other starters. It was Steve Kerr because Steve Kerr would stand up to Michael and not tell him what he wanted to hear.
Man, that's so good. Man, so just to add on to that, Aaron, like when you think about if you are reporting to a leader, like, and we talk about accountability goes two ways, you have to, care about your leader enough to tap them on the shoulder and say, "Hey, listen, we need to slow down here." And as a
Kim and Johnny are back over there. They got to catch up.
Exactly. Yeah, man. And so, yeah, you got to be able to tap them on the shoulders, like, hey, listen, this is our true north. This is where we say we want to go. Let me remind you, we need to slow it down.
Because we got about half the team 2 train stops ago.
Exactly. Yeah, man.
Oh yeah. Well, and that kind of goes back. So, like you were talking about, you can be a leader without having a title. And that's so important because everybody's influenced by somebody at some level. I think the title it's really how have I heard it said? Too many people depend on a title instead of on talent. It's got to be a good combination. Well, yes, that you are the leader, and yes, the buck stops with you. But you got to have those people, those leaders on your team, even though without the title. That way, ultimately, as you were saying, as you help develop those young men and those young women to become leaders, the first person they got to lead is themselves.
Right. Man, so good. I remember I was at a place in my career. I was an individual contributor. I wasn't in a leadership role or anything like that. And I was so frustrated because I was like, I'm ready. I will be talking to my leader, my senior leaders. I'm ready for the next level. I'm ready for my leadership role. And finally, I had a leader, my mentor, said, "Chris, I got to be real with you. Like, you keep on wanting a leadership role, but you're not showing me leadership attributes, right? And until you can learn that leadership starts right where you are, you ain't ready. Like, you're not ready. You're not ready until you can learn that leadership starts before you get a title. Now, when you start leading before you get the promotion, then we can have a conversation. I should be able to walk up to any one of your team members, any one of your colleagues, and they should be able to say, "Yep, I see. Yep, Chris is. If he got promoted, then I wouldn't think twice about it." And so it's, what are you doing to lead right now? I coach a lot of leaders, especially, on my job, that come to me saying, "Chris, I'm ready for the next level." And my first question is, what are you doing to lead right now? What are you doing to lead right where you are as an individual contributor while you don't have a title? What are you doing?
Oh yeah. And that's one I put people on test with the leadership is, all right, hey, I need to get this done. I'm gonna put that in your court, Chris, but you can't tell anybody that's what you're doing. Okay. Who's going to help you do it? Go see who you can get to help you, because ultimately leadership is influence. Leaders have followers. You can't get anybody to follow you without the title. You're not a leader. You're just a boss. And nobody likes working for a boss.
Nope. Nobody likes working for a boss. It's so many of those. I call them, they're big skills, but I also call them micro skills as you're learning them, finding out ways like, how do I gain influence when I don't have any authority to hold people accountable? Man, you talk about a skill, like, how do I develop that as an individual contributor? What does that even look like? And you're right. Like, when you have those opportunities before you ever get a leadership role, like, those are gold. Because once you step into that opportunity, what you'll find is that you've already developed trust. Like, you've already gained influence without even a leadership title. So by the time you step in, people are like, let's go. Like, let's rock. What we doing?
Yeah. Well, they celebrate it. And it's not like, oh man, here's the next person. It's all right. Yeah, we wanted to see them in that spot.
Yes. Yes. Yep. So powerful, man. Like, and that's my thing with heart-centered hustle. It is, it's not about a title. It's not about getting to that next leadership role. It's about, what are you doing? Whatever your level is, like, what are you doing right now to make the most within your sphere of influence, within the people that you care about and that you serve alongside? What are you doing? I was interviewing for a role, and I was being interviewed by a senior vice president of this organization, and we were talking about career journeys. And she said, "You know what, Chris? I've never applied for a promotion. Like, I've never applied for it." Uh, and I said, well, how did you go? You went from director to senior director to vice president to, senior vice president. I think at the time she was an executive vice president, and she said, I've always maximized the opportunities where I was. I've never looked for the next level. The next level just fell into my lap because I made sure that I was growing where I was. I was growing where I was planted, and that just stuck with me. And so I have adopted that as a leader, that I'm not fighting to get to the next level. I'm going to do whatever I can within my realm of influence to be, the best leader that I can be.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and that's important too, because whenever it does come, if you've been doing the preparation like you were talking about,
There you go.
it's just a natural next step.
There you go.
Natural next step.
Yes, sir.
Man, whew, good stuff.
Yeah.
And so, guys, much with like we're talking about setting up that leadership and getting that strong foundation, like you could get here that with Heart Center Hustle, Clark Connection podcast. You also need a strong foundation in your home or office. So make sure you hit up Vicki and the crew with Hubbard Flooring Studios. They have you from the ground up and get you right. So tell them Coach Clark sent you at Hubbard Flooring Studios. And so kind of wanting to switch gears a little bit now. So we mentioned that you're talking about your book, that Dope Leader. And so how long has that been out? What inspired you to write it? Tell us a little bit more altogether, man.
Yeah. So Dope Leadership is, it is focused on leadership for teenagers. And, and it really comes back to a concept of, how do I get this leadership message out early? How do I tell a generation of teenagers to love the team that you serve, to deeply care for the team that you serve? And so I decided to write a book, and really it just focuses on practical leadership tools and tips that you can do right where you are to help you to lead in your community, lead in your schools, lead amongst your peers. And the first chapter is probably one of the most important and near and dear to my heart. It's leadership starts at home. And Oftentimes we think that a leadership starts when we get a job, or it starts when we get out in the community or someplace else. Nope. Leadership starts right in your house. How are you serving your family? Your mom, your dad, your parents, brother, sister, like what are you doing to serve right in your household? Let's start building leadership capability right in the walls of your house. And so it's a passion project of mine, and I'm was fortunate and blessed enough to release the book. It's been out for almost a year now. You can find it on Amazon. Dope Leadership by Christopher Appleton. And so yeah, man, it's I've had some people to reach out to me that have read it and just talked about just the impact that it's had on them. And I feel like, you know, for me, man, it's just amazing. When you take a leap of faith, for me, it's a leap of faith to put something out there, to be vulnerable, to talk about some of these things that I've been through, some of the mistakes I make, like, completely messing up a executive presentation in front of the executive team at a Fortune 500 company and thinking it was going to be a box on my desk. They were going to walk me out the door, but how my leader handled that is why I'm in this seat today. It's why I'm a senior leader in aerospace today.
And that's important to stop on real quick. So I'm glad you kind of took a breath. I was like, oh, I got to stop him there, because it's so important, because had that leader, like, you got back and said, all right, Chris, here's your box, bro. Seriously, what are you doing? Versus using that, because I have to imagine that leader remembers his first time that he botched the presentation at a Fortune 500 company. Man, that's so pivotal. Then back to that, we influence more than just work.
There we go. Something that's interesting, Aaron, when I think about the moment that happened, like, it's been over a decade. Like, I still remember the feeling that I had of walking back to my desk with my head down. And I still remember the feeling I had when he leaned over my desk and he said, Appleton. He leaned over and gave me a fist bump and said, good job. And I was like, man, you thought I did good? He was like, no, I didn't think you did good. However, I'm so proud of you that you took a shot. Listen, it didn't go as planned, but we got this presentation again next week. I'm putting you back in, and I know you're gonna knock it out the park. He said, Chris, we brought you here for a reason, and I know you got it in you. And so, Aaron, that night, I'm practicing my presentation. I set up chairs in my living room. I'm practicing my presentation, and then I get a text on my phone, and it was him. He sent me a screenshot of a Michael Jordan quote that said, I've missed the game-winning shot so many thousands of times, and that is why I succeed. And on the bottom of that text, it says, Chris, keep going. Keep taking shots. I get goosebumps now. The feeling that I had in that moment, that, my senior leader was thinking about me at 8:00 at night and wanted to encourage me, is something that I will carry with me, forever. And it's what I try to reproduce in the team that I serve.
Right. Man, that's so true, man. And just how important our words are to people. And just for them to, like you said, know that my leader was worried about you at 8 p.m. And, I mean, he could have been doing they could have been doing a million other things. They could have been doing whatever.
Yeah.
And there they were, finding that one thing to send to you.
Yeah. Yeah. Think about that deep level of care. It probably took about a few minutes. I mean, probably took about a minute, 2 minutes. But you think about the impact. I'm sitting here talking about it over 10 years later. It is shaped how I approach my team through the interactions that I had with him. So when we think about how we talked about earlier, like the ripple effect that leaders can have on people's lives, I'm a testimony of it. I was impacted by a leader that deeply changed the way that I show up.
Yeah. I mean, on the flip side, that's one of the things, like, that as a recovering football coach, tended to only, like I would always tell my players, I encouraged them. I wanted to see you mess up. I wanted to see you do whatever. But I wanted you going 100 miles. If you were giving me 110%, you were never going to hear me fuss at you for, especially coaching DBs. Like, yeah, if you make a break on the ball and you miss an interception and they walk in the end zone, you're not going to hear me complain about that. But what you will hear me complain about is if you don't get your butt up and start running after him, that'll go get him. I will complain about that.
There you go. Yeah. 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 It's so true, man. I mean, you know, and in the situation with, you know, that senior leader, like, man, I messed up big time. This is front of senior lead, like, you know, all the senior leaders in my company. And I just blew it. Like, it was bad. It was the type of bad where I knew it was bad and they knew it was bad too. And,
Made you
you
want to
know,
change your name.
man, I literally, if I could just disappear in that moment, bro, I would. Uh, so, but like, he didn't have to put me back in there. You know, he didn't have to give me another opportunity. He could have called up the next best person, but he's like, nope, putting you right back in. You got what it takes. And so, yeah, it's like, how do you circle back to say, no, we're going to try this again. I want to see you make, you know, try this because I know you got it in you.
Right. And it does take, you know, that's one I'll say. It takes leaders. We've got to see further and sooner than most people. So, I mean, that was him looking out and going, all right, I can look at tomorrow, or how's this going to help us 5 years down the road?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll share this with you. Him and I, we have kept in touch. And we talked, we had a conversation. This was about 2 years back. And I gave him a call and we were talking. And I was like, hey, do you remember that time? Like, I screwed up on our executive presentation. And he laughed. I mean, he had this big laugh. He just laughed. He's like, yeah. And I was like, listen, a part of the reason that I'm the leader that I am today was because of how you cared for me. Not just that opportunity, but many other opportunities. And you could just hear the tears in his eyes. He said, Chris, you don't know how much I needed to hear that in that moment, you know? And so I just really quick, just want to, everyone that's listening to this, if you have had a leader that has deeply impacted how you show up, impacted you, that's deeply cared for you in some type of way, reach out to them. Let them know how special their impact was in your life.
Oh, yeah. You know, I think that's one that people often forget about too, is that too, you know, one that I'm a huge proponent of. They make sure you're praying for your leaders, because guys, y'all have no idea. If you're not in that leadership role, you don't understand the amount of that stress and worry that they have. They may be looking at you and you see on the surface, everything is cool, calm, and collected. But underneath there is turmoil going on. They, just like you, they got the troubles going on at home. The kids do this, they can't, they missed a car payment because this happened, and you got that expense going on, and they're still showing up. You never know. If you feel that, like Chris said, call that person, tell them thank you, that you have no idea what that will actually do. As much as they may have encouraged you that one time, that will encourage them that much more to keep going, because they might be at the end where they're like, you know what, I quit this thing. I quit this leadership thing. And you calling them could be the thing that says, you know what, I'm going to keep going. If I made it for one, I'll keep going.
Yes, sir.
Man,
that's good.
Powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'll say now we can keep going forever, but I'll say they kind of starting to hit that part where we need to start wrapping it up a little bit, man. Yeah. But that one that I believe, and so I believe all leaders are readers. I don't believe all readers are leaders, but all leaders are learners. And so I believe that the best thing is reading, because reading is to the mind what exercise is to the body. So what would you say is the one book that had the most impact on you that you would recommend for other leaders to read?
Yeah, I would say I got this book as a gift. It's by John C. Maxwell. It's the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Right? I got that at the beginning of my leadership journey. It has it that book has had ripple effects in how I have shown up with the team that I serve, and it's still reverberating in how I show up with my team. It's a great read.
Yeah. Oh, that's one I definitely need to read again. It's if y'all hadn't read it, that John Maxwell breaks down that what he believes are 21 attributes that leaders have to some way, shape, or form. But hearing him go through and like, all right, and so yeah, I say these 21, but I'm not good at these like 5. That's like the leadership guru of the world.
Yeah.
A phenomenal read. I need to read that one again. Oh,
great.
Yes, it is. That is a real good one. Yeah, anything John Maxwell. Y'all read any and everything that John has.
Yeah. Follow the podcast too. It's good as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say that. I mean,
yeah.
This is coming from a certified Maxwell trainer, so I'm a Maxwell
okay,
guy.
Okay. All right.
Oh yeah, I love Maxwell. You know.
Yeah.
Oh man,
nice.
It's such great stuff. Great stuff.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
And it's so practical.
Man, yes, it's practical, easy to understand, like things that you could take away to put in your pocket that you could pull out during your day. Like there was a season in my leadership journey, and I still have the book on my desk, but I would literally before at lunchtime, I would literally pull it out to say, all right, I'm struggling right now. Let me see what John C. Maxwell got to say. Like literally, like it literally was my coach. That book was my coach throughout that season of being a new leader.
Right. Well, and it's one I tell people all the time too. If we were to try to get a one-on-one coaching session with John Maxwell, I know it costs a whole lot more than the $20 I paid for that book.
There you go. There you go. Yes. Yes.
I know I charge more than that.
Yeah.
That he doesn't show up to a speaking engagement for less than $10K.
Listen. Yeah. Man, you think about all the development opportunities, somebody, and I don't know, the specific number, but I heard somebody say like, the amount of time that we spend in the car by the time we're like 70 years old is, could be well over 4 years, for those that are active drivers. So you think about like, what do you do with that time? Podcast, audiobook, and so there are several opportunities, you can get the audiobook as well, but several opportunities to develop yourself is what I'm trying to get at. How are you developing yourself?
Yes. Enroll in Automobile U. I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it.
Yeah. Good stuff.
And all right. And so what is a book that you're currently reading or maybe have just finished reading?
So the book that I just finished reading, man, it's Simon Sinek, Leaders Eat Last. It's a great book. When we think about our role as leaders and we think about, how it's our, responsibility to serve our teams, like that's what inspired me to really focus on how do I care for my people, and then also if you have an opportunity to check out Bob Chapman, I had an opportunity to fly up to his headquarters and actually had an opportunity to hear him speak at Barry Waymiller. And he was the first person that I ever heard say, like, look me in my eye and say, your decisions impact your team, the people that you serve. And that it hit me. I left there a changed man. Barry Waymiller and Bob Chapman, and the way that he leads his company, I've never seen a company culture like that before, outside of Southwest Airlines, and some other organizations. But I mean, it's pretty special.
Man, it sounds like it. And now with the leaders eat last, what's kind of the premise on that one?
Yeah, he talks about having this opportunity to escort. It's a really, I don't want to give it away, but it's a really, it pulls at your heartstrings. Having an opportunity to travel with our military, and getting a chance to see how they lead. And he just really had this pivotal moment where he learned, this whole concept that leaders eat last, and he walks you through this story of this military campaign, and sorry, not a military campaign, but he walks through the story of this interaction with these soldiers, and and he talks about how he came up with that leaders eat last, and it's really about, as a leader, you serve your team. That's really the premise of it, to me. And so I don't want to give it away. It's a really great book. For me, it definitely pulled at my heartstrings. I thought it was a really good book.
Yeah. Oh, it's one I'm definitely putting on my list to get. I got that so many different ones on there now. And that's easy too, guys. I mean, you can legitimately, you go to Amazon, you can create like hey, this is my book wish list. And when you get a book that, hey, I wanna read, put it in there, or you get a recommendation, put it in there, and then as you finish one, order one. It's that simple. It's that simple. So now, Chris,
Yeah.
last question I always ask everybody.
Yeah.
Like, what's one thing I should have asked you that maybe I didn't ask you?
I think, I think as we talk about leadership and we talk about uh, accountability going both ways, and I think the big question for me is, if I'm a leader out there, and let's say I've not built trust with my team, or let's say I've done something to diminish the trust. Like, what do I do? And so I think is, how do you, as a leader, how do you recover? How do you start building that trust? And I think that's a really important question. And my answer, yeah, no, yes, my answer is to lead with vulnerability first and just own it.
Mhm.
Like, don't dance around it, own it. The moment that you are vulnerable and you own your mistakes, you own what you did wrong, you call it out, and then you draw a line in the sand and say, guys, I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that. So I'm going to invite you on this journey with me because I want to be better, and I want to show up better. That's a start. The second thing that you want to do is that you need a strong mentor. Find somebody within your organization, community, somebody that that when you think about leadership attributes, that they are living those things out, all of their being. And I need you to reach out to them, set up some type of cadence or something, but find someone that is speaking leadership life into you. Find somebody that is speaking, that can guide you. And then the third thing I will say is just be consistent. And you're gonna mess up. You might mess up again, but just be vulnerable and commit to being as consistent as possible. And I do feel like over time, when your team is able to see you putting in the work, when they're able to see your deliberate care and your deliberate consistency, that you start to build those moments of trust. I will be honest, it will not happen overnight. It's going to take time, and that's okay. Take the time, do the work, become a better leader and serve better.
Now, let me ask you this. You talk about being vulnerable. Doesn't that show weakness, man? Doesn't that make me a weak leader?
Now, vulnerability, it actually does the opposite. It actually gives you more credibility. When you are able to be vulnerable, it doesn't mean you have to share everything, but it creates the space for your team to say, I could be vulnerable too. I don't have to, be the smartest in the room. I don't have to have all the answers. We can figure this thing out together. It builds trust. It creates an environment almost like gravity. Vulnerability, it has this thing. I can't put my finger on it, but it just pulls people in, right? And vulnerability is a leadership superpower. It is a leadership superpower. Huh?
It shows you're human.
There you go.
Uh,
There you go.
If you won't admit that you have issues and problems and things you're working on, that they just go ask your team because they know your shortcomings.
Yeah. So many people think vulnerability is weakness, and but I think that we talked earlier. Man, leaders set the tone, and if you want to see that in your team, start to display it. It's going to take courage, especially if you haven't done it before. It's going to feel scratchy, and that's okay, right? But just push yourself a little bit every day.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely a beautiful thing when you're willing to be open and honest, and let them bring. I'm trying to remember. I had somebody just today. They come up to me like, "I don't like this." All right, cool. Tell me why you don't like it. And you could see that kind of caught them off. Like, hold on, they're new to the company, and they're like, "Wow." They had all been encouraging me to come talk to you about this. And I said, well, yeah, if you don't like something, I need to know what you don't like, but why don't you like it? You can't just say, hey, I don't like that you're wearing a black hat.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why don't you like it? And tell me the reasons, because if you just tell me you don't like it, I'm not doing anything about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Man, yeah. When you think about it, so let's if we even took just a quick pause there, it's have I created the space enough for my team to even say they don't like something? Like, do they feel like that's okay? Or do I lead with such a level of fear that people are thinking it? You can feel it in the room, but nobody's saying anything. And so, like, man, are you creating that environment where people can voice their honest opinion?
Right. Well, and then it gives you the opportunity to have that conversation. So, and that's what it provided for me was, all right, here's why I'm doing that. And I was like, ultimately, did that work? And they were like, well, yeah. And I was like, yeah, this is a new lead. We were trying to get in touch with them. They've been in the system for 15 days. And that was what sparked them to reach back out. They're like, but they were upset about it. And I was like, but it sparked it because it was the truth. But are they coming? They're like, yeah, they're coming in for their appointment. I'm like, all right, there we go.
All right. Yeah.
Well, Chris, man, I appreciate you taking a little bit of time, man. Coming, they dropping some bunch of nuggets, not just some nuggets, a bunch of nuggets with the crew on the listeners, man. If anybody wants to hear more from you, get in touch with you, how do they reach out to you? How do they get connected?
Yeah, the best way is you can go to my website. It's heartcenteredhustle.com. That's Heart-Centered Hustle right now. I have a contact form right on my page. You can get directly in contact with me, and I would love to hear from you.
I was going to say, and I'm going to encourage y'all guys, go follow them on TikTok.
Yeah.
There is so much.
TikTok as well.
Whew, it's great stuff. And that's one of the things that I absolutely loved. And when I saw what you were creating, I was like, I got to get in touch with this guy. We've got to get connected. That because I feel like we're wanting to do the same thing. And guys, it costs you no money to go press subscribe to his TikTok channel, his YouTube channel, and it's free.
Yeah. It's free. Heart Centered Hustle for TikTok, Heart Centered Hustle for my website, heartcenteredhustle.com. And listen, I would love to see you, and also do speaking engagements, and just want to find those ways to better serve our leaders and impact our leaders in our world.
Absolutely. And guys, I'm going to put all that information. It's going to be down in the description below. Just go on there. Go do it. You won't regret it. Heart Centered Hustle. Go get his book, Dope Leadership. Do all the things. And Chris, I had a blast.
I had a blast too, man. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yes. We'll definitely have to do this again, my man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, man, you got it. Anything for you? Got your back, man. So just hit me up.
All right. Appreciate you.
Yes.
And that wraps up today's episode of the Clark Connection podcast with Chris Appleton. I hope you were inspired by his message of heart-centered hustle, leading with love, influence, and vulnerability. Remember, leadership isn't about titles. It's about the ripple effect your decisions they create in your teams, your home, and your community. When we balance accountability with care, keep growing through reading and mentorship, and create safe spaces for feedback, we step into the kind of leadership that truly lasts. Want to give a special thank you to our premier sponsor, Vicki with Hubbard Flooring Studio. Just like leadership starts with a strong foundation, so does your home or office. And Vicki and her team help you step into excellence, one plank, tile, or carpet at a time. And if you want to connect with me, you can visit me on my website, send me an email, or get connected with me on social media. Look, all of that information, it's listed below. And by doing so, you'll never miss another episode. And for those of you that are looking to partner up with us, to help your brand get in front of other leaders and growth mindset listeners, reach out. Let's talk. And remember, you don't need to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. So keep leading, keep growing, and keep innovating. Until next time, stay inspired and connected, and I'll see you on the next episode of the Clark Connection Podcast. Thanks for listening to the Clark Connection Podcast, where my goal is to add value to you. Make sure you like, subscribe, and follow the show. You can also connect with me via my website, coachaclark.com, or on all socials at coach_a_Clark. The links are in the description. Huge thanks to my sponsors, Wayne with 7K Metals, Bobby with the Comfy Quest LLC, Andrew with Automate Integrate Professional Services, Joseph with Landscape King, and Chris and Jess with C&J Embroidery. We look forward to bringing you more great content. See you next week.